Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going deep.
Deep.
Yeah, deep diving into Bitcoin,
Oh, yeah.
which you probably know about already.
Yeah.
But we're going way beyond like the headlines, about cryptocurrency and stuff.
Right.
We've got this awesome article called The Bitcoin Effect, Transforming Lives and the Global Economy.
Okay.
And we're going to see how Bitcoin's impacting culture, our choices, and even, wait for it, our perception of time.
It sounds a little out there, I know.
Right.
But this article really lays out a compelling case.
Yeah.
We're so used to talking about Bitcoin just in financial terms,
Right.
But it just has so many more ripple effects.
Yeah. Okay, so first off, this article claims that Bitcoin is not just digital cash. It's a full-blown cultural phenomena.
Hmm.
When I first read that, I gotta say, I was a little skeptical.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I understand the skepticism,
Okay.
but think about it this way.
Yeah.
Culture, like any culture, it arises from shared values practices.
Okay.
Almost like I don't want to say cult, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Bitcoin has this too.
Okay, so more like a community with shared beliefs
Yeah.
than just a bunch of people like online trading.
Exactly. And the article highlights a few of these shared beliefs.
Right.
Things like decentralization, scarcity, financial sovereignty.
Yeah.
Those are the core principles that really seem to resonate with people seeking alternatives,
Yeah.
especially people who feel maybe let down by more traditional systems.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like, remember when El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as legal tender?
Oh, yeah.
That was a prime example of this kind of cultural shift in action.
It's pretty wild to think that like a digital currency could spark that kind of change.
I know.
But you always hear that Bitcoin bro stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
Does that play into this cultural side at all, or is it something totally different?
It's a bit of both, to be honest. There's
Mhm.
definitely a strong community aspect, almost like a shared philosophy, It's
Definitely.
about challenging the norm, taking control of your finances,
Yeah.
questioning the way things have always been done. But, I think it's crucial to separate that genuine cultural shift from just the hype,
For sure.
the noise.
Yeah, it's like Bitcoin is a technology.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's also like a catalyst for this whole movement
Yeah.
of people who are like rethinking things, like
Yeah.
money and power and all that.
Exactly. And that leads us to a really fascinating idea the article explores, which is how Bitcoin can influence your time preference.
Ooh, time travel with Bitcoin. Now we're talking.
Right.
But seriously, though, for those of us who aren't like economists,
Yeah.
what does that even mean?
So time preference is essentially how much you value immediate rewards versus long-term rewards.
Okay.
So high time preference means you want it now.
Right.
Low time preference means you're thinking about the future.
Okay, so like splurging on a fancy dinner tonight versus investing in like a retirement fund.
Perfect example.
Okay, cool.
So the article argues that different financial systems can actually encourage one over the other. So like traditional systems where inflation eats away at your savings might push you to spend now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But with Bitcoin, which is deflationary
Right.
and capped at 21 million coin saving, suddenly becomes a lot more appealing.
That's a really good point. So you're saying that just using Bitcoin could like subconsciously make someone think more long term.
I could, yeah.
Wow.
Instead of buying that new gadget, they're considering investments that might take years to pay off. It shifts your whole perspective.
That's wild. I'm curious, has this idea of shifting time preferences made you rethink any of your choices?
It definitely has.
Wow.
I find myself, thinking more about the long-term impact of decisions,
Right.
not just the instant gratification.
Yeah,
And I think I see that shift happening in a lot of other people in the Bitcoin community as well.
that's amazing. It makes you wonder how this could impact society as a whole.
For sure.
Like,
Yeah.
what if everybody started prioritizing sustainable practices and long-term solutions?
Yeah.
It's definitely food for thought.
It is, but while we're pondering the future,
Yeah.
let's not forget about the practical side of things.
Right.
The article also dives into Bitcoin's real-world tangible impact,
Okay.
and that's where we'll head next.
Right on, because it's easy to get lost in the philosophy and the big ideas.
Yeah.
But let's get down to like brass tacks.
Okay.
What problems does Bitcoin actually solve right now?
Well, that's where its features as a monetary system really shine.
Yeah.
We're talking solutions to some of the biggest issues that we see with traditional finance.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm ready. Give me the highlights. What makes Bitcoin so different?
So the article focuses on three key benefits:
Okay.
inflation resistance,
Mhm.
decentralization,
Okay.
and unconfiscatable wealth.
All right. Break it down for me. Starting with inflation resistance.
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce there?
So it all boils down to scarcity.
Okay.
Bitcoin's supply is capped at 21 million coins.
Right.
And every 4 years, the rate at which new Bitcoins are created gets cut in half.
Uh-huh.
This is called the halving. Unlike government-issued currencies, which can be printed endlessly,
Yeah.
Bitcoin's programmed scarcity helps to safeguard its value against inflation.
So it's like digital gold,
Yeah,
but even more finite.
exactly.
Like even if everyone on Earth wanted Bitcoin, there's only so much to go around.
That's right. And this built-in scarcity ties directly into that second benefit, decentralization.
Okay.
Bitcoin operates on a distributed network,
Right.
meaning no single entity calls the shots.
Okay.
Think of it like a massive global power grid.
Okay.
Traditional finance is like relying on one giant power plant.
Right.
If it fails, everything goes dark.
Gotcha.
But with Bitcoin, it's like having thousands of smaller power sources all spread out.
So it's more resilient.
Exactly.
Good.
And this distributed nature allows Bitcoin to function without the need for intermediaries like banks or governments,
Okay.
which leads us to that third benefit,
Okay.
unconfiscatable wealth. Because there's no central authority, it's incredibly difficult for anyone to seize your Bitcoin.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Especially, you see headlines all the time about governments freezing bank accounts,
Right.
people losing their savings to hyperinflation.
Exactly.
Bitcoin offers like a real alternative.
It does, and it's this combination of features all working together
Yeah.
that makes Bitcoin such a compelling alternative to traditional financial systems.
Yeah.
It's not just about the technology itself. It's
Right.
about shifting the balance of power.
That's a great point. But this article goes even deeper.
Yeah.
It claims that Bitcoin isn't just a tool, it's like a philosophical catalyst. I'll admit that one threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin with that?
I know it's a bold statement, but the article makes a really strong case.
Okay.
Essentially, Bitcoin challenges us to rethink our assumptions about money, about power,
Yeah.
even individual responsibility.
Okay, I'm hooked. Give me like the Spark Notes version.
Uh-huh.
What are the key philosophical shifts that Bitcoin seems to inspire?
Okay, so the article outlines three main ones.
Okay.
Personal responsibility, a focus on freedom and ethics, and what it calls a cultural renaissance.
All right, let's unpack these one by one.
Okay.
What's the link between Bitcoin and personal responsibility?
So think about it this way.
Yeah.
When you are in control of your own finances, you're forced to take ownership of your decisions.
Right.
You can't blame the bank or the government if things go wrong.
Right, you're in the driver's seat.
Exactly. You are in the driver's seat.
So it's like a crash course in financial literacy, but on a whole other level.
It is, yeah. And this focus on individual agency spills over into other areas too, particularly ethics.
Okay.
Bitcoin, with its transparent ledger, promotes fairness and accountability.
Huh.
It challenges us to consider the morality of our financial systems
Right.
and how they impact others.
It's not just about making money, it's about making money the right way.
Exactly.
Aligning your actions with your values.
Aligning your actions with your values.
I like that.
And that brings us to this idea of a cultural renaissance. Bitcoin sparks these really interesting conversations about societal issues, governance transparency, individual liberty, even personal growth. It pushes people to think critically and challenge the status quo.
You know, I've heard people say that like diving into Bitcoin was like falling down a rabbit hole.
It is.
Where they started questioning their entire worldview.
Yeah.
It's not just about the tech, it's about the ideas it unlocks.
It's true. Bitcoin acts as this lens
Hmm.
to view the world differently, question our assumptions, imagine new possibilities.
So it's almost like a philosophical awakening for some people.
Absolutely. But like any powerful movement, the Bitcoin community faces its own set of challenges.
Of course.
And the article acknowledges that those need to be addressed.
You're right. Every community has its flaws.
Yeah.
What are some of the criticisms that the article brings up?
So one of the biggest ones is the perception of exclusivity. Critics argue that Bitcoin enthusiasts can be a little dogmatic, unwelcoming to newcomers, especially those who, don't quite grasp the technical complexities yet.
I've seen that too. Sometimes the passion can feel a bit like, well, a cult.
Yeah.
And that can be intimidating, especially if you're just starting to learn.
Absolutely. And the challenge is finding that balance between advocating for something you believe in and remaining open to different perspectives. It's something every passionate community struggles with.
That's a great point. For Bitcoin to reach its full potential, it needs to be accessible to everyone.
Yes.
Not just a select few.
Right.
We need to foster genuine dialogue not just preach to the choir.
Well said. And that's a challenge that requires a conscious effort from everyone involved.
Yeah.
We need to be mindful of our language,
Right.
avoid jargon,
Uh-huh.
and meet people where they are in their understanding.
Yeah.
It's about building bridges, not walls.
Well said. I think that's a perfect place to wrap up part one of our deep dive.
Okay.
Covered a lot of ground from the cultural shifts Bitcoin is sparking
Yeah.
to the very real solutions it offers for, like, everyday problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've explored how Bitcoin can change the way we think about time, money, and even our own personal responsibility.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
But this is just the tip of the iceberg.
I know.
In part two, we'll go even deeper, exploring the philosophical implications of Bitcoin and how it's challenging us to rethink the very foundations of our world.
I can't wait.
Stay tuned, folks. The rabbit hole goes much deeper.
Oh, yeah.
We're about to take the plunge.
Welcome back, deep divers. Ready to plunge further down the Bitcoin rabbit hole.
Absolutely. Last time we were talking about Bitcoin sparking like a philosophical awakening. This article really got me thinking about how it challenges us to re-examine our values,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's one of the most fascinating aspects, I think. It's almost like Bitcoin is a mirror reflecting our beliefs back at us.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
But how does it act as a mirror exactly?
Well, think about your own motivations for engaging with Bitcoin. Like, what aspects resonate with you the most?
Yeah.
Is it the desire for decentralization? The store of value properties?
Okay.
The answer to that can actually reveal a lot about your underlying worldview.
So like someone who's drawn to Bitcoin's potential to bank the unbanked,
Yeah.
they might prioritize things like social justice or economic equality.
Exactly. While someone who's more focused on its censorship resistance, they might value individual freedom and autonomy above all else.
Right. So it's like Bitcoin has this different facet for everyone to connect with.
Yeah, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
So there's no like single Bitcoin personality.
Right.
It's more about how individuals interpret and apply
Yeah.
these like core principles.
Precisely. And that diversity of perspectives, I think, is one of Bitcoin's greatest strengths.
Yeah.
It creates this vibrant and intellectually stimulating community.
But as we talked about before, that diversity can also be a challenge,
It can.
especially when it comes to like fostering understanding and avoiding those echo chambers we see online.
Absolutely. The article really emphasizes the need for empathy and patience within the Bitcoin community,
Yeah.
especially with newcomers. You know,
Yeah.
people who might be overwhelmed by all the technical jargon and the passionate opinions.
I can definitely see that it's like learning a new language and navigating a whole new culture at the same time.
Exactly.
A lot.
The article really stresses, creating a welcoming and inclusive space.
Yeah.
Where people feel comfortable asking questions, sharing their views, even disagreeing respectfully.
Right. It's about fostering dialogue,
Yes.
not just preaching from a soapbox.
It's about building bridges, not Bitcoin walls.
Uh-huh. Well said.
And I think that approach is crucial for achieving Bitcoin's potential for positive change.
Yeah.
The technology itself is powerful,
Uh-huh.
but it's how we use it that really matters.
Right. So it's not like a magic bullet solution to everything.
Right.
It's a tool.
It is a tool.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Exactly.
It comes down to individual responsibility and collective action.
The article highlights this beautifully.
Right.
It's about shifting from dependence on those centralized authorities
Right.
to self-reliance and individual empowerment.
So it's not just about changing the monetary system.
Right.
It's about changing our relationship with power itself.
That's the core of it. Bitcoin gives us the tools to take control of our own financial destinies.
Yeah.
Make our own decisions and build a world that reflects our values.
It's a powerful vision, but let's be real. No system is perfect.
Of course.
The article acknowledges the concerns and criticisms surrounding Bitcoin too.
Yeah,
We can't just ignore those.
absolutely. Not every technology has its drawbacks,
Right.
and Bitcoin is no exception.
Yeah.
We need to have these open and honest conversations about issues like energy consumption, the potential for misuse, price volatility.
Right. Those are the things you always see in the headlines.
Right.
Bitcoin's environmental impact,
Yeah.
its use on the dark web,
Yeah.
the crazy price swings.
Exactly. It's important to address those concerns head on.
Yeah, I agree. And the good news is the community is already working on solutions.
They are.
Like, for example, developers are exploring more energy efficient mining methods, and regulators are implementing measures to prevent like illicit activity.
Right. It's an ongoing process.
So it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
But the fact that these issues are being acknowledged and
Yeah.
addressed is encouraging.
It is.
It shows a commitment to continuous improvement.
Exactly. And this brings us to another really crucial point.
Okay.
Education. The more people understand about Bitcoin,
Yeah.
the good, the bad, and everything in between,
Right.
the better equipped they'll be to make informed decisions.
Knowledge is power, right?
It is.
It's about empowering individuals, not just trying to convert them to a particular ideology.
Well said. The article emphasizes this neutral and objective approach to education,
Okay.
just presenting both the pros and cons of Bitcoin
Yeah.
in a clear and accessible way.
Because ultimately, it's up to each individual to decide
Yes.
whether Bitcoin aligns with their values and their vision for the future.
It's a personal journey.
Right? We're all on our own journeys.
And that's what makes this exploration so exciting.
Yeah.
The more we learn about Bitcoin,
Yeah.
the more we realize how much more there is to discover.
No. It's like we're pioneers venturing into uncharted territory together.
I like that.
But speaking of uncharted territory, we need to zoom out a bit
Okay.
and look at like the global picture.
Right. We've covered the individual and the societal impacts,
Yeah.
but Bitcoin's reach extends far beyond that.
Okay.
It's time to explore how it's shaking up the very foundations of the global economy.
Now we're talking fasten your seatbelts, listeners, because things are about to get really interesting.
Hold on tight. In part 3, we'll delve into how Bitcoin is challenging the established order and creating both opportunities and uncertainties on a global scale.
Welcome back, explorers. We've journeyed from the personal impact of Bitcoin all the way to its potential to like reshape society.
Right.
Now in this final part, we're taking things global.
That's right. We're zooming out to see how Bitcoin is interacting with the world economy.
Okay.
The systems, the players, the whole shebang.
Okay, paint me a picture. What does the article say about Bitcoin's role on this global stage?
So the article argues that Bitcoin isn't just another asset.
Okay.
It's driving this fundamental shift in how we think about money and power on a global scale.
Okay.
It challenges the dominance of those centralized institutions, the gatekeepers of the traditional financial world.
So it's not just about individual empowerment anymore. It's about like disrupting the entire system.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's decentralized nature inherently shakes things up.
Okay.
It creates a level playing field where individuals, no matter where they are, can participate in the global economy without needing those traditional intermediaries like banks.
It's like Bitcoin is creating this parallel system,
Yeah.
one that bypasses the existing power structures. I imagine that's pretty exciting, but also a bit unnerving for those who benefit from the current system.
You hit the nail on the head.
Right.
The article points out that Bitcoin poses a real threat to the status quo,
Yeah.
the established financial order.
Right.
It offers an alternative,
Yeah.
and that can be unsettling for those in power.
Especially when you consider the potential impact on developing countries
Yeah.
or regions with limited access to traditional banking.
Absolutely.
This could be like a game changer for financial inclusion on a global scale.
The article highlights how Bitcoin can facilitate things like cross-border transactions, remittances,
Okay.
Sending money back home,
Right.
even microlending,
Yeah.
all without the usual hurdles of expensive intermediaries or cumbersome regulations.
So in a way, Bitcoin is almost like this global financial network,
Yeah.
but one that operates outside the control of any single entity. That's a pretty powerful concept.
It is, but this power also attracts attention.
Uh-huh.
The article acknowledges that, those in power might try to control or even suppress this technology.
Well, we're already seeing that, aren't we?
Yeah.
Governments are like wrestling with how to regulate Bitcoin.
Right.
And some are even trying to ban it outright.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tug of war.
It really is.
But the article argues that Bitcoin is incredibly resilient,
Okay.
that decentralized nature makes it hard to control or censor.
Yeah.
It's like a seed that's been planted. Once it takes root, it's difficult to stop its growth.
It's a reminder that ideas are powerful.
They are.
And they don't respect borders.
Yeah.
Once something like Bitcoin enters the global consciousness,
Right.
it's almost impossible to contain.
We're witnessing the birth of a new economic paradigm, one built on decentralization, transparency, and individual empowerment.
It's a shift in thinking as much as it is in technology.
It really is.
It's both exhilarating and a little daunting, right?
Yeah.
It's uncharted territory, and we don't have a map for what comes next.
That's true. The article doesn't try to predict the future.
Yep.
Instead, it encourages us to engage with these ideas, explore the possibilities, and embrace the unknown.
And that's the beauty of this deep dive, right? It's not about giving answers.
No.
It's about providing the information and the perspectives you need
Yeah,
to form your own conclusions.
exactly.
We've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
from the personal implications of Bitcoin all the way to its potential to reshape the global economy.
It's been a journey.
We've examined its technical intricacies,
Yeah.
its philosophical underpinnings, and its potential to both empower individuals
Right.
and disrupt established systems.
It can do both.
And I hope we've sparked your curiosity to keep learning and exploring.
Yeah.
Because the story of Bitcoin and its role in the world is still being written.
Absolutely.
It's a story we're all a part of in one way or another.
We are.
So stay curious, keep asking questions, and never be afraid to challenge the status quo.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And until next time, keep exploring.